Hello, hello.
What up? What up?
It is
Hi.
Wednesday. You know what that means.
Absolutely.
We are back in TWG fan club. And right on time, my girl
There
Ricardo
we go.
is in the building. So we can officially start the stream. So everyone knows who I am at this point. It's Queen PR. I'm back with my crew, Brian H. Waters and Justin. Seindole will hopefully be joining us tonight. Shout out to my partner in crime, Krista B. But Seindole should be here later on, so let's send her good vibes. But we have a really fun agenda tonight in the fan club because today was kind of a PWI day, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Day. They have revealed their top 10 in the first ever women's 250 list. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the top 10. I was fortunate enough to be on the committee. So I was able to kind of hear truly a blessing. So I was able to see how the top 10 and the whole entire list came to be, adding 100 more women. Hey Mike, to this list this year. It's an historic year. So we're going to get into that tonight. Our main topic is wrestling finishers, our favorite, our most iconic ones, how you
Mhm.
associate certain wrestlers with certain finishers. So I'm excited to get into all of that. But I really want to get into this list. Um, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they did their 500 this summer. Shout out to everyone that made that list. And now it is the women's turn. And I want to just give a little bit of a brief history on why this year is so iconic. This is the first time there's a 250
Mhm.
for the women. And I mentioned the 500, which is, all wrestlers, and women are on that list who tend to wrestle intergender wrestling, which is the norm in the indie scene, and Impact and a lot of different promotions. So the women always, first of all, we didn't have a list for women for as long as we did the men. And it was a fairly new concept to have the top 10, like the top women's wrestlers. So it was the 50, then it went up to the 150, and now 250s. And I'm still waiting for when there's going to be 500 and 500 because there are so many talented, athletes out there that are killing it. But yeah,
Mhm.
so very historic year. I was very excited to be on the committee. I love that there are more than 250 top wrestlers on this planet that we can feature. So shout out to Kevin, the editor in chief that made that happen, Kristen, Candice Cordelia, who revealed the top 10 on Gaw TV today on YouTube, which was amazing. It was just such a
Sure
beautiful show,
was.
beautiful moment. It reminded me like why I like love what we do, because I'm like, wait, it's all about empowering women in wrestling. And now the fact that we can fill 250 slots and then have women in media being the ones to reveal it, and Grown Ass Women TV, which is the name of Mickey James, Victoria, and Val's YouTube channel. That's what the name of it is, and it's fueled by female empowerment and girl power. So just that whole like mix of everything was just like a moment for me. So how did you guys feel, first of all, learning that there was going to be 100 more women on the list this year and moving forward, and kind of the top 10?
I loved it. I've always been, vocal about my fandom for women's wrestling just from the jump, like, going back to the days of Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano. And so to see the women finally getting their just due, and because I remember when this was 50, and I would buy the magazines, and we're talking like 2011, 2012, and I'm looking at the list, and I'm like, oh yeah, but there's more. But I was happy, to be honest with you, I was just happy that they had a list, a list that would recognize them. But we're seeing such an increase in women's wrestling, especially on the independents, right? I mean, we talk about NXT putting together last night 3 women's matches, and it's not a thing like, oh my goodness, it's 3 women's matches. No, it's a norm. That's the reason. I'll just have one negative thing. That's the reason why we so hard on AEW. because everybody else done got with the fucking ball, and they, Tony Khan just don't like women's wrestling, and it shows. And when we watch to get this opportunity and now see that you have women all over the place killing it, it's very cool because at the end of the day, these magazines and these lists educate you. You may not have heard of this person. Guess what? You're going to go on Google, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to watch their matches, and you're going to see why they rank where they rank. When I looked at the list, everybody know how, like, you hear Julia's name all the time. If you've been paying attention to a lot of content creators,
Mhm.
I have to give a shout out to a lot of the people out there, a lot of the podcasters, especially the black podcasters. Um, they've been speaking the name of Julia a lot. It
Mm.
also helps when you have somebody like a Mercedes Monet going out and you see her passion for wrestling because she's mentioning these names in places because she know what her star power is.
Mhm.
And the fact that if she says a certain person's name, it's a big deal. Look what it did for Willow Nightingale.
Mhm.
So that makes me happy. And speaking of Willow Nightingale, to see her in the top 10, come on now. Like,
That was
uh,
awesome.
amazing. Amazing.
And just to piggyback off that, like Brian hit the nail on the head, which is like the whole point of these lists is to educate you and for the uninitiated, because like someone like me who's so used to WWE programming and WWE talent, this is the time of the year where it's like, all right, let me put you on the game. Like last year with Shuri getting the number one spot, and it's like, yo, if you don't know what these ladies in Stardom are doing, you need to go pull it up because they put on bangers of matches that you're not getting in WWE, you're not getting in AEW, you're not getting a lot of other places. So the main thing with these lists, and I know everyone loves to aggregate this shit on social media, learn the fucking criteria. There's a
Mhm.
reason, there's a method to the madness. You know what I'm saying? There's ingredients that go into the preparation of the dish. And people always overlook that because they're always screaming about this person should be higher, that person should be higher. The whole point is to put you on the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look, and I have the Wikipedia up on this, the majority of these lists, you're always going to see a lot of your WWE talent towards the top of the list. For a long time, they were in the number one spot for like years, almost like a 7 year stretch where someone from WWE was your number one spot. But you also got to take into account the kayfabe stuff matters. The wins and losses matter. Who you face matters. Where you face them matters. So you look at number one, for example, Rhea Ripley. You look at her year. She wins the Royal Rumble. She squashes everyone in her path on her way to WrestleMania. She beats Charlotte Flair in the co-main event of night one of WrestleMania 39, arguably one of the greatest women's matches in WrestleMania history. And Charlotte has only lost clean once at WrestleMania. So for Rhea to not only dethrone her but do it clean is a big ass deal. And
And the
then
Royal Rumble.
and then the dominance in the Royal Rumble, and then you see what she's done as champion, where she's basically squashed everyone in her path on this war path of dominance. It's kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like who
Mhm.
else would it be to be number one? It's almost like you have to have like such a dominant year to knock someone out of the top 10 list like that, or
Mhm.
out of the top spot, and especially the year that Rhea put in. That's very difficult to knock her off the top spot. Like, yo, mommy's got it. We're just living in her world right now.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the criteria, because that is the biggest thing, is understanding why these people made this list. It does say 2023, so you think of some of your favorite wrestlers or some of the most popular wrestlers right now, and you're like, how in the hell isn't a Mercedes Monet on there? Why isn't um, Bianca Belair higher? And those sorts of questions. But when you think about what they have to do to fit in there, it makes sense. And there has
Mhm.
to be a criteria, because it's almost like impossible. Like, how are you going to be able to qualify over other people? Like, if there isn't some sort of outlier,
Facts.
right?
Dead
um
ass.
so I
I
just want to
love I love Mercedes, but let's be honest, crew. Our girl has missed a lot of time with that ankle injury, and we still don't know when she's coming back.
right,
Like
right.
two plus two, yo.
And it's funny because these lists are important, because I think for exposure, like you mentioned, Justin, but also these lists don't equate like what can make you successful in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Moné didn't have a lot of matches, but guess what? Every single match she had mattered, and you remember it. And it was, it's not that whole WWE where it's like, okay, I've seen her wrestle every week. Every match Mercedes Moné had, it sold out. It moved the needle. You talked about it. It may not have fit the criteria for PWI, but that doesn't mean Mercedes Moné didn't have a kick-ass career. So you just have to always remember it that way. And everyone knows who Mercedes Moné is for the most part. Let the list be for people that was grinding during the criteria, and let other wrestling fans discover them, which is really what it's all about.
I think her Willow getting a win over her etched Willow's name in this top 10. And
right.
They main evented a New Japan show that's never been done before.
Mm-hmm. And we thought that was a pipe dream. We was just hoping, like, can we please? Well, I remember vividly, we all in the group chat was like, yeah, we really hope like that's the main event. That's the match for the title. But we ain't gonna get that. And then when we did, I believe that was your birthday weekend, Justin, or something. And it was like, oh my gosh. And boom, sure enough, we got it. And that helped Willow right there. Regardless, I mean, a win is a win. And just the awareness of the Mercedes Moné brand.
Exactly. So I think just always remembering that is important. And I'm gonna post what the criteria is here in the comments, but it was based on in-ring achievement. So championships won, big matches, tournaments, influence. So both in sport, both in entertainment, on social media, do you kind of make an impact? Technical ability, so your in-ring skill for all the real wrestling fans out there. Quality matches, are you telling stories? Competition, so you're having enough matches in this criteria, but are they contenders? Like, is it competitive? Does it matter? And then activity. So the activity aspect is having at least 10 singles matches during the evaluation period. The evaluation period is September 16th, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. So that is the criteria. So if you think about it, Mercedes Moné did not have 10 singles matches, even close to that in the evaluation period. So it's always important to keep that in mind. So when you keep that in mind, it's like, okay, yeah, of course Rhea Ripley is number one, in my opinion.
And I also give a shout out to the people over at PWI for putting together this list, because also what comes with that is just understanding what's happening on the house shows in the independent markets, because it's not just the TV stuff, it's paying attention to the wrestling that's all over the place, and that's not easy. So there's a lot of people like to jump down people's throats when they make a list. Like, it's not easy to do when you have to put in the thorough research. So I appreciate it, because I get to digest the list, create content about it, and most importantly, just read and learn, because I get the magazines every year for these, just so I can read the bios. And shout out to the homie Candace in the top 10 reveal earlier.
Yes.
We got a chance to hang out with
dope.
her in Los Angeles for WrestleMania. I've been fortunate enough to be on a panel with her. Shout out to Dr. D's Dream Panel, the Dream Panel 2. But just to see like all that she's doing in the business and her rise to the top, especially if you know Candace, like, she's a newer wrestling fan, but she's somebody who like just went fully in and learned the business. And so definitely shout out to her.
And the cool thing is, when you look at this top 10 list, it's like the different companies that's represented. Like, you got WWE representing, you got AEW representing, you got Stardom representing, Impact representing, NWA representing. Like, that wasn't the case. Like, if you go back to like, let's say like 2017, for example, that is the top 10 is basically like WWE and NXT dominant. To where it's like, you got to go look through the magazine to go look at where the women from Impact. AEW wasn't existing yet. New Japan wasn't doing women's stuff like that. So you got to go search it out, versus now you're seeing how the list has grown to where like Pete said, like it used to be 50, now we're at 250. But now you're seeing the top 10 is like, nah, it's not just WWE dominance. It's like everyone's eating at the table now.
And also look at the diversity. Black women, Japanese women, white women, Australian women. Look at the diversity of the list. And wrestling is in a good place. Women's wrestling is in a great place. I just say one thing. You know who I wish was all their producer? HBK.
Because he is doing it.
Yeah, buddy. I never thought I would be a huge fan of Shawn Michaels in a way, and would it not be a 96, a 97?
Facts. It's like, wait, I used to hate you. Now it's like, yo, I actually respect what the hell you're doing.
For everything you're doing.
The same. I was the same way with Triple H too, where it's like I did not like you for a long time, and all of a sudden that black and gold NXT was hitting. It was like, you know what, Trips, you got me.
Just like 95, Sean, I was a fan of 95, 96. 2002, 2003 was the moment WWE Confidential came out, and he admitted to what he did. I was like, oh, I don't like you no more. But I take that back. And shout out to him. But I like this comment right here from Andre.
I do too. Like I've taken a peek at social media before we hopped onto this, and the discourse I'm seeing is Athena's name keeps popping up, and like how she not top 5, which is like interesting because that gets back to the criteria of like when you're making these lists, how do you slot people in certain places and go like, I know the BRP does this every year when they do their BRP 50, where it's like, how is this person not above that person? And then you start to do the comparison of what did this person do that year versus person B. And with Athena, it's like, yeah, she had a great year, but at the same time, it's like, but it goes back to the Tony Khan issue, where it's like, you're not putting her on TV. We got to search out Ring of Honor. She's not really on AEW television. I remember when Jamie Hayter was champion, you saw Jamie Hayter on Dynamite, on Rampage, on the pay-per-views and whatnot. And sometimes it really is exposure. Exactly. See, the music was like, yes, see, Tony?
Tweeting Tony.
Yeah, because sometimes it really is exposure. That's why you see so many WWE women on these lists, is because of the exposure. If we treat WWE like it's Major League Baseball and everything else is like the minors, that kind of does have a factor in play.
Agreed. And I will say, just to drop some like fan club exclusives, there was a long discussion about Athena's placement on the top 10, and a lot of that is because we were looking over almost every promotion on this planet, so it's a lot of competition there. Should she have been higher? I am gonna say yes, but again, just the joy that there were so many other women to argue for was a reward enough for me. But again, she is in the top 10, and I think she's doing some of the best work that she's like ever done. To be completely honest with you,
this is the Athena that many of us who watched her in Shimmer have been waiting for. Like to see her, just out there, especially there, and watching her in WSU. It's like finally, and I liked her a lot. I liked Ember Moon. I just didn't. I thought Ember Moon got a raw deal when she got to the main roster because there was that disconnect, and then she got hurt. But it was a reason that she had the NXT Women's Championship for a long time. But you look at her now, and I think she posted a how she like toned up and stuff. Like she's out there killing it, and I would not be surprised if she was top 3 next year.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying, whereas if we move Athena up, who drops down? Because you look at who's ahead of her, like Rhea had a great year, Bianca had a great year. When you talk about Stardom and the work that they've been putting on, the two names that come up the most is Julia and Tam Nakano. And like we said, like Jamie Hayter was the face of the AW's women's division for a while before Saraya pulled up, before Athena started popping up here and there, before Willow ascended. So it's kind of like, who drops? It's very, very tough because now it's like apples and oranges.
That is true.
Agreed. Shout out to Athena and everything that she's doing. And I can't wait to get into tonight's topic, which is finishers, because I think we can all agree that Ember Moon slash Athena has one of the most iconic finishers of all time.
I
And
wish we could use video
I know
because this
because
is a
some of
night.
those sells too. Like we're gonna get into that as well. So that's one thing that I want to get into tonight is like the selling aspect of finishers because that
Mhm.
has a lot to do with it. And it also just goes to the dance and the art of professional wrestling where you can't do it alone. You got to have somebody that you can like kind of dance with almost. So I'm excited for
Mhm.
that. You can get the new issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated with the full women's 250 list. I'm pretty sure it's already circulating the interwebs right now because you can get the digital edition now. So please support that issue. Again, the committee was amazing. I was lucky enough to be a part of it, and a lot of hard work went into this. There was a lot happening right now. If you work in the media space, you just know it's a very tumultuous environment right now. So any publication that is, continuing to put out quality, good work, support it if you can. Support the issue.
Mhm.
It's a really good one. And shout out to Candice Cordelia and everyone on the GAW TV show who made that reveal happen. And it's gonna level up every year, you know. Every
Yep.
year it's going to level up. The top 10 is going to level up. The committee will. And, soon it'll be 500 and 500, which is just so amazing to think about. So maybe we'll touch a little bit on the 250 next week once everyone's had a chance to get the issue and get all their emotions out. And again, criteria. And we'll look at that because again, it's really cool to have over 200 women in the wrestling business right now killing it. So
Yep.
congratulations to everyone that made that list. Shout out to Mommy, who is number one, Rhea Ripley, who I wrote off a couple years ago, and now she is the number one women's wrestler on this planet. I also want to shout out the Black Wrestling 50 that Righteous Reg put out. That's 500 Black wrestlers that you can put on a list that are active in the wrestling business. And that is another not easy thing to do. So shout out to that list and everyone who put it together. And
Jay Bougie, number 99.
nice.
The
I'm
rise of bougie,
loving the
baby.
glow up. I'm loving the
Mhm.
glow up. So yeah, so let's take a quick break.
Mhm.
And I want everyone in the club to let us know what your favorite wrestling finishers are, past and present, women, men, WWE, NWA, Impact, all of it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what makes a good finisher, what are some that we're not a fan of, who do we associate certain wrestlers with what finishers? And also, I want to get into, like I mentioned before, the selling aspect of it, but I also want to get into wrestlers using other wrestlers' signature finishers because I'm still, on the fence about Kevin Owens using the stunner.
Ooh.
So like that type of stuff I want to get into. I want to get into how much I fucking hate the manhandle slam, whatever the fuck that shit is.
Damn, you coming out hot. Okay.
All of it, all of it. I didn't realize how passionate I was about finishers until I
She's
was
like,
thinking
bang,
about this
bang.
episode, and I'm like, actually,
Mhm.
this, because it has everything to do with wrestling psychology, which I'm
P
also.
said today she got time.
I got time today. I'm excited. Women's 250, PWI Day, like it's a lot going on. So let's take a quick break. I do want to plug our 5th anniversary event. We have a couple. When I say a couple, I mean literally 2 early bird tickets left. So make sure you get those. The early bird tickets come with a drink ticket. And if you don't know, our 5th anniversary event is sponsored by Duke and Dame Whiskey, which really good salted caramel whiskey. We have a delicious drink menu, delicious food there. We'll do a live show, after party, all the vibes. You'll get to meet all your favorite wrestling podcasters and it's going to be amazing. So that's November 4th in Brooklyn. If you can't make it, it is not too late to sponsor the event. We have a bunch of sponsorship packages, and it's also not too late to sponsor a ticket for someone. Because even if you can't make it, buying a ticket really does help the cause. I want to shout out Krista B, who's putting in a lot of work to plan this event, and it's going to be amazing. So We're celebrating 5 years of those wrestling girls. We're celebrating 5 years of Black wrestling. Just everyone in the media space doing their thing. It is going to be a night to remember. So make sure you are there. So we will take a break and everyone will flood the comments with their thoughts on some of the most iconic wrestling finishers, and we're going to get all into it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Krista B, one half of those wrestling girls, and we hope that you're enjoying this current episode that we have for you. You know, I had to come in here, interject, and plug ourselves real quick. We want to tell you about our merch exclusively on foryourwear.com. That's right, For Your Wear has all of those wrestling girls merch that you want and need, not only for yourself, but for your friends, your family, and your loved ones. We have t-shirts, we have hoodies, we have tank tops. So please go over to foryourwear.com to make sure you get those exclusive merch, those exclusive deals, and tell them that TWG sent you.
Y'all so cute in the
We gotta
merch.
update that shit so I can get my picture in there.
We gotta update everything. But make sure you guys support the merch. It all helps the cause. And make sure you get a ticket to our 5th anniversary event because it's gonna be amazing.
It sure is.
Hell yeah.
Guys,
Let's
this is
talk
a
about it.
episode topic, a fan club topic that we wanted to do for a while. And it excited all of us when we talked about it.
Yep.
So why did you want to cover finishers? What first comes to mind when you think about covering this?
Just the fact that when you think about a finishing move, right? That's supposed to be it. It's the exclamation point. It's the end of a match. And it's the part when if you're watching a match, like one of your favorite matches, when you know the finish is about to come up, if you've seen this match 100 times, you jump to your feet still, it still gives you goosebumps. Or if you're watching your favorite wrestler and they're going for the title, right? And I'm gonna come from a child standpoint. Back when it took one, when you would see them finally get that finish move, it made you jump to your feet and like go crazy. The goosebumps will start flaring up, and then when the referee count 1, 2, 3, or in my case, when I would see Bret Hart finally lock in the sharpshooter, and then I would see the his opponent moving around, and then finally, like Ric Flair, the perfect cell job would constantly do no, and then finally you just see the white of his hair just bouncing, and then you see Bret Hart holding a sharpshooter, and then you see Earl Hebner call for the bell. When then you see Bret Hart finally get the WWE Championship. It's just exciting. It's so exciting. And then you talk about moves that you could do. If you're like me, your big brother. Might do it on your little sister or your little cousins and stuff. So it's just so much fun when you talk about finishing moves.
I mean, Brian put it perfect where it's like, it's the punctuation to a match. Like, think of like a boxing match where it's like, it's the knockout blow where like Tyson's coming over with a right cross and someone's going to sleep. And then all of a sudden it's just like the aura of like, oh shit, he knocked him the fuck out. It's the same thing in wrestling where it's like, you hit that finisher, 1, 2, 3, oh shit, they got him. Or you lock into submission, oh shit, they tap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that euphoria that we get of like, as a kid growing up, that's kind of like our cue of like, okay, now the match is like wrapping up because now we're getting to the finisher. And like once we're programmed to knowing like our favorite wrestler's finishing move. So when we know they're getting ready for it, whether it's Stone Cold gearing up for a stunner or The Rock setting up for a rock bottom and stuff like that, it's like you see it coming. So it's like, all right, so we're getting towards the tail end of this because now we're getting here.
Mm-hmm.
I love
and usually once you hit that finisher, that's usually donezo. But we're gonna get into that.
I'm trying to like hold it because you were touching on like what I want to talk about as far as that goes. But the first thing, of course, that came to my mind, and I mentioned it before, was like the stunner.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back in the day, because it was a 2-step process that you could easily tease it throughout the match without teasing it too much.
Yeah.
Every time Stone Cold kicked someone in the stomach, you were like, and because his finisher was so protected at that point, it could really mean something huge in that moment. So that is definitely my favorite finisher of all time.
So how many stunners? We gotta ask. How many stunners did you deliver to your sister?
I'd see. It's funny because I didn't stun my sister a
Good
lot.
question.
A lot, but
She
once or twice.
A lot means there's a number.
Maybe,
Right.
maybe, definitely, because it just felt like even now
Mm-hmm.
it is such a fun move.
Mm-hmm.
So much fun childhood. And then also, like, can we just shout out the fact that that's one of the few finishes that you can do holding a beer?
Right.
I mean, there's not a lot of finishes you can do while drinking beer.
So is
And
that what goes into your mind when you think of like your favorite finishers? Like, can I finish this drink while I'm delivering the knockout blow?
I think that's a valid question, honestly. Like, can I do this? Can I multitask?
I mean, you may have to demonstrate this at the 5-year anniversary party. Just saying.
Wow. Yeah, I would have to buy a lot of TWG drinks for me in order for that to even happen. Oh man. Oh yeah. Shout out to Letty. She's definitely gonna be there that night. Another one of my favorite finishers, and I'm mad I can't remember the name of Mickey James' finisher, but she did it in heels once. And it was one of the most, it was a DDT actually. It wasn't her finisher, it was a DDT. But the way that your finisher has to be versatile. And I've heard a lot of wrestlers say that. Like a good finisher, you're able to do on anyone at any time.
Yep.
And speaking of the stunner, there were some duds, some dud stunners.
We was there.
Yes. We were there in Dallas. Probably the last time we'll probably see Vince McMahon get stunned.
Wow, I hope so. At this point.
Yeah, at this point.
I just so that we can like have that. Like we can all say that we was there for that.
Right, exactly.
Oh my god, I still got that on videotape where it's just like, bruh.
Not the non-edited version.
The non-edited version is rough. It is rough. But I want to get into, because the stunner you can do almost everyone, but there's some that you really need a good dance partner to do it, and one of those is Ember Moon's Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is just perfection.
It's like the RKO, right? And shout out to my god brother. He should be tuning in soon. We was literally just on the phone and I was like preparing the show, and we was talking about like, wrestling is like predetermined, but the timing gotta be right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I don't realize a lot of people understand. Like a good dance partner, they gotta be in the right spot in the ring when she jump up and she hits that. And it's versatile because she can literally hit that on the Big Show or she can hit it on Rey Mysterio. And that's the thing you got to think about with a finishing move. Like, and it also will it make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, any chin to the shoulder makes sense. Like Dominic Mysterio spearing the Big Show is not going to make sense. It's just not. You know what I mean? But that's why I didn't like when certain people do the power bombs, because I'm like, you're not tall. Like growing up, you think about Kevin Nash. The reason why the power bomb seemed so effective, it wasn't because he was just throwing you down. It's because he's 7 feet tall. Same with Sid Vicious, So, but I think about the Eclipse, like, is he? Wow. Okay, Dre said he was in AEW. Oh, and I'm sorry. That's what made me become a fan. And when she got signed to, or when she got booked for an ROH show back in 2012, I remember being like excited. I'm like, wait, I get to see this in person. I only saw this on you know, back then you had to get the torrent files for the Shimmer shows. So if you wanted the whole show, so that's how I was able to see it. But to finally like see it in person, I'm like, oh, this is amazing right here.
Sure.
Yeah, it's named the O-Face now, Mike.
And it's cool as hell to see in person. When you see her bust that eclipse off, you're just like, yo, because like you said, like it's the timing and it's also the athleticism of Athena to basically flip over someone, contort her body to where she has them head first and then stun her. And that's all like in one fluid motion. Like she does that like a million times. Like it's really cool to see.
Yeah, facts.
What's one of the most underrated wrestling finishers?
Ooh, where do you want to start? You want to go all the way back?
Let's do it.
The DDT.
Oh God.
It's become
underrated or overdone?
Both.
Overdone.
Both. Because you look at it now, they're just hitting them everywhere, right? But in a show that I used to do a long time ago, we had Jake the Snake on. And he told the story about telling Vince McMahon why he did not want to do that move on Ricky Steamboat on the floor. And Vince was like, no. He said, you will kill somebody. And that's when you see the whole thing, like Ricky goes to the hospital and all that. But he said he's legit knocked people out. But you think about it, and we've become so accustomed to it. We've seen it so many times. So it's just like, oh, okay, it's a DDT. Boom, it's over. Or I mean, you know, get up. But like to the point, like with finishers like that, when they become regular moves, you're like, why did they kick out? But you imagine if you in a, let's say a shoot fight, and you do a DDT to somebody on the street, they're gonna be knocked out.
Cold.
And especially the one Jake used to do, because Jake would like tap you on your back to let you know it's coming, but then he's slamming you face first as hard as he can into the ground. So like when you see it, it's just like, yeah, they're out cold.
I think I was like 30 when I found out that's what it stood for.
Wait, what does it stand for?
Damien Dinner Time.
Oh, from like the snake?
That damn snake. But that makes sense. It makes
sense,
but it's like the damn snake.
Because like, and then you know, I figured DDT was like, I think he named it that because like back in the day it was like a lethal like disease or drug or something. But yeah, Damien Dinner Time. I'm like,
wow.
And then you know what comes afterwards? He put Damien on him.
Yeah. Can we talk about this? Shout out to Mike in general, but also the super kick. First, I will say that I do love that move in general because the right person doing it, it just looks so sexy. Like Carmella, I think, does a good super kick. The Usos does a good super kick. Shawn Michaels, of course, was just like, but is it overused?
Yes. I will not call Shawn Michaels a super kick. I'm sorry.
What would you call it?
Sweet Chin Music.
Sweet Chin Music. Oh, yeah.
Because you got to tune up the band.
Oh, absolutely.
It don't even look right.
Two-parter though, like for anticipation, and then you know,
it's like we get it. There's an entire generation of wrestlers that grew up on Shawn that really like were enamored by Shawn, and that's like their tribute to it. But there's some people that just do it as like a regular move, and it just doesn't look good, especially with like the slapping on the leg part, where it's like, it's like it's like way overdone, and especially like. This is one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of the Young Bucks, even though they put on great matches, because the Young Bucks do this ad fucking nauseum, where it's like over or under super kicks is like most likely in their match it's gonna be at least 20, because they gotta get single ones in, they gotta do the tag team double time and get it in, and they do it like at least 3 times more than the Usos ever did,
and they know
it's just like annoying.
And the fact they know we hate it, so they go for it more and more.
Oh, God.
You know, but it's a fun move to do. You know, when you just walking around like, this is a safe place here, right?
Depends, but yes.
I super kick my children all the time.
Oh my God.
Now, before y'all call Child Protective Services,
the thoughts and kicks of Brian H. Waters do not reflect the rest of TWB Fan Club. Keep your feet to yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
It is full kayfabe. You know, so it's the leg slap. And the funny thing is, when I realized my son caught on to the leg slap, because then he was stuck doing it at 4 years old,
Oh
and
my
then his sister started when she was about 4. Um, but yeah, it's fun to do. Like you just sitting there like, mm. But again, it's when you see it 30 times in a match, like I like it as a finisher because it makes sense. Somebody just kicked you in the face, or Shawn Michaels say, kicked your teeth down your throat. It makes sense as a finisher. I don't need to see it as a regular or a setup move.
Right. Right.
It does, but it doesn't. But then again, like if you really watch MMA, like the sweet chin music for me has always kind of been like, okay, but like Kofi's Trouble in Paradise makes sense because I've seen people get knocked the fuck out with roundhouse kicks.
Mm,
But like that's like, all right, that's legit. Like Holly Holm put Ronda Rousey to sleep with one of them.
bro.
But yeah,
The
super kicks is like
I
it's
said
cool.
the same thing, Nikki. Carmella's shit is crispy.
I'm gonna
No,
have to
it
rewatch
definitely
a
is.
Carmella match. I forget hers, but at the same time, it's been a minute.
That's true. That's true. What are some of your other favorite kind of underrated finishers?
The Samoan drop.
Really?
Yeah, big time. Because you think about back in the day who was doing it, right? Yokozuna. And granted, his Samoan drop was the setup for a bonsai drop most of the time, but his 500, 600 pound body frame dropping back on you made sense for a finisher. Tamina makes sense. Nia Jax, Rikishi. But then you started seeing people who wasn't Samoan, or even the Usos and Roman doing it. It just became another move. But and even the Rock, but I think the Samoan drop is definitely underrated. That used to be a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
That one's cool. You know what? It comes to, I don't know if people properly rate this one, but for me, is underrated. Is Finn Balor's coup de grace, where he's got you laid out. He jumps as high as he can, and he's drop kicking you in like your chest stomach area, like
Yeah.
as hard as he can with gravity, just smacking him down. Like if that don't knock the wind out of you, I don't know what the hell will.
That's
But I
the
don't know
move.
if it gets the proper love that it does.
Yeah, that's the move I don't need to see people kick out from. And it's
Right.
crazy because like you think about moves that people don't kick out from. Baron Corbin with the end of days, nobody kicked out of it until WrestleMania 38 when Drew McIntyre did, but he protected it, and I love that. I love when people protect their finishing moves. I remember back in the WSU days, Athena, she was like, no, nobody kicks out of the old face. And even when like if she would lose, like if she wouldn't win the match, she would hit the old face, and then they would be right near the ropes. I'm fine with that. Like if you're right near the ropes and your momentum causes you to fall out the ring, or I'm fine with that. Like just make it make sense. I just don't need to see 30 million finishers. But you brought the Trouble in Paradise too. That's another underrated because I think because of where Kofi Kingston's placement on the card was for so long, then once he got to the main event and he was hitting it was like, oh, well, yeah, duh, and it started with his title win. Daniel Bryan and him protected that move that he didn't hit it but once. That's why that's like one of my top 5 favorite WrestleMania matches. Just for the simple fact of the storytelling and the way that he didn't, the Kofi Mania moment by obvious reasons, but the match itself was great.
Oh hell yeah! And the cool thing is, like, I know people have tried to come for Kofi about that and be like, bro, just watch UFC. Like, you see that often. But Mike brings up a good one with Kairi Sane and the Insane Elbow. That is an underrated one because of the fact that there's elbow drops and there's a way Kairi does it where she sets it up on the top rope, but then when she jumps off, her body makes a fucking like L like that.
Gorgeous.
To where she gracefully like glides down to her opponent, but with power. And it's just so like when you see her just go from the top rope and hit that person with the insane elbow, but it's the way she contorts her body every single time where it's almost like she's gliding into it. It's fucking phenomenal. It's such a visual. We're just like,
really is.
how? It's like a boomerang.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It also speaks to the fact that we see elbows all the time. You know, we see the flying elbow all the time, but she has had a way of making it stand out a bit more. Like her silhouette in the air, how high she jumps in the air. Like I always feel like smaller wrestlers have such an advantage because they can really throw themselves in ways that the bigger wrestlers can't. And Kyrie Sane is one of those. She's tiny, but it feels ferocious. And when it hits, it hits.
Hell
Nah,
yeah.
facts.
You see one of those in person, you're just like, wow.
No, it's a beautiful thing. How do you guys feel about Nikki's comment? I also love submissions, Nikki, too. I agree. Do you think all matches should end in submission? Does that go
No.
to the more realism argument of wrestling where it's like watching somebody pass out, I guess? But how do you guys feel about this one?
You go
Yes
first,
and
Justin.
yes and no. Like I love submission finishes like Brian. I also grew up on Bret Hart. Fucking sharpshooter for me is like go tier, but at the same time, it's like it's cool to watch people get knocked the fuck out too, safely. But I also, as someone that grew up on boxing like all my life, it's cool to watch someone just get knocked the fuck out. So getting knocked out with a finisher is just as cool to me as a nice submission, especially where some submissions aren't really that appealing. Like, yeah, you got your sharpshooters, yeah, you got Cripper crossface, but then you have like John Cena's fucking was it FTF, where it looks like he never locks in the person's like head or neck. It's just like his arms are just like hanging out and stuff like that, where it's just like, and this is supposed to be a finisher. But then when you look at Sasha Banks do the bang statement and whatnot, and like I remember when Noelle Foley, I think, did like a thing where she was training with Becky and Sasha put her in a bank statement, and immediately Noelle's like, "Get me the fuck out of here!" No, that shit had my back like, ow, immediately. Like that's a good one, but it depends for me. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, well, shout out to my god brother Mike. He just said he be watching it now. I don't think all matches should end in finishers, but I mean in submission, should end in submissions. But I think for the most part, if you're a submission specialist, it should. Like, I love when, like, I brought up Bret Hart and Sting when their matches were in with the Scorpion Deathlock or the Sharpshooter or Owen Hart for that matter too. But like also like I like when wrestlers can be versatile, like the Undertaker and the Hell's Gate, you know, because sometimes when those submission moves they can like, all right, I just can't put them away. That's all right. I'm gonna make them tap. You know what I mean? We seen that with Roman Reigns, like during the early parts of the Tribal Chief run. When he would hit a submission move. So but I do love submission moves. As a matter of fact, that my older god brother Marlon would always complain because by him being bigger than me when we would wrestle, I would always hit a submission move because I knew that would be the way to stop him. And then you think about like even with Jericho and the Lion Tamer or the Walls of Jericho, and then the way he did it, you talk about just like the Boston Crab versus the Lion Tamer. And that's what I like because when he changed the Walls of Jericho to make it look like a regular Boston Crab, it wasn't fun. But when he would put his knee on their neck, it would go back. Oh boy, he took it back. Andre brought up the Tequila Sunrise. Shout out to
What's
Conan.
the Tequila Sunrise?
I don't know how to explain it, but it's like
Do your best.
It's like he connects the arm, but also like a half crab, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like the whole like if I'm do I got this right, Justin? Like the whole left side or right side of your body. I gotta find it because like I remember watching him do it, but it felt like he would tuck their arm, step over, and then pull their leg back, and then so you really just like paralyzed on one side.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wish we could show videos because it was a dope finisher.
Okay, because it looks devastating. So I'm looking at photos.
Mm-hmm.
Do it in the Google machine, and I'm looking at photos, and it looks brutal.
Shout out to Google.
Right. And I remember so Starrcade 98, probably my favorite WCW pay-per-view, definitely one of them. And I remember he was going against Chris Jericho for the television title, and he beat him with it.
Wow.
Y'all brought up the rings of Saturn.
Oh yeah, I'm
Shout out
taking it
to
back.
all the VIPs in the comments right now. Get Your Podcast, Vaughn, Trell, Andre, Rakarsha, of course, Mike. You guys are really bringing it back with these finishers. So, what was the rings of Saturn?
It was another. It wasn't. Let me see.
Yeah, I gotta Google it myself, man.
This is what I love about the fan club.
Right? And finisher
like
is something that is like
Neville
has
used to do it.
always been a part of wrestling. So that's the fun part. Like we could go back fucking decades.
So it's like a double cross face almost.
Oh wow.
You see it?
That sounds brutal. I think that's also the funniest. I mean, not the funniest, but like the thing about finishers is they should be devastating. They should be brutal. They should be where you hit it and it's like match over.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, definitely. That's why have we gotten to us talking about our favorite of all time finishers?
Not yet. I want to get into some of the ones in the comments. So devastating. We got to talk about the Widow's Peak.
Google.
Was that your favorite finishing move, Brian H. Waters? Is that why you made that face?
Low key, it's definitely one of my favorites.
Why?
Because I cannot see how do you make it not hurt. You know, you hear about Jeff Hardy talk about the Swanton Bomb, and he always talk about, you know, people hate it because he can't protect you. His whole body is just coming on you. The Widow's Peak, it still has some magic there for me. Like, I don't want to ask Victoria or Lisa Marie about it. I don't want her telling me, well, this is what I really do. I don't want Trish Stratus telling me how she would take it. I like this illusion that it's the most devastating finisher, that people's neck is really getting that close to snapping, and 1, 2, 3.
It looks good. It's just one of those, like you said, like, all right, just don't ask questions.
Yeah, it's
don't ask how the sauce is made. Just eat the food.
Bingo.
Facts. Is that the best women's finisher?
To me, it is, but
I don't know. I'm biased to the Bang statement just because it's very unique, and it's one of those that you see Mercedes remix it to where there's multiple ways that she can get someone into the Bang statement, and the visual of it is just like, it looks like it fucking hurts.
It does.
But see, so is the Glam Slam is a good one.
That is a good one.
The Glam Slam is really good.
You know, I think I like. Oh, go ahead.
You go.
I was gonna say, the thing I like about the Glam Slam is it looks great, especially like when the women do it, right? Like, to me, it don't have the same effect. Like, if I see a man do it, it's like, it's not gonna have the same effect. But when I see Beth Phoenix lift them up, and then especially when she walking around just flexing her muscles, you know, and then I could just imagine her doing that on like Dom Mysterio. You know how fun that visual would look. So yeah, definitely. Why did we get Beth versus Rhea?
Not too late, hopefully.
Yeah, you know,
I ain't gonna lie, Bianca's KOD is also like a banger. Like, she has you upside down, flips you face first, and then she's slamming you with all her CrossFit glory.
Right.
That's another one that's
CrossFit glory. Mike definitely mentioned Bianca's KOD, and she does it so well. And also, we know how strong Bianca Belair is. So we know that she's swinging your ass around and banging you on that mat, and it looks great. Like, it looks like she's fucking hurting you.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think of some more women's finishers. Like, we talked about Ember Moon and her Eclipse.
Can we do a this or that real quick with the women's finishers? Because Charlotte Flair. I personally love
going there.
What is it?
Figure 8.
So beautiful.
Figure 8 or natural selection?
The natural selection.
Okay.
That is a beautiful ass finisher. And because she knows how to like cartwheel because she's fucking elite, it just looks beautiful when the right person sells it. Like when Sasha sells it and stuff, like it's beautiful. Or do we like the figure eight?
Figure eight, hands down for me because of what you just
The
said. Is
lineage?
no, it's like you just said, like the right person taking the finisher for natural selection, and you see the majority of these women do not take the natural selection very good, and when they don't take it and the timing's off, it looks very sloppy and fucked up. I think of like when Charlotte faced Peyton Royce, and it looks so dysfunctioned,
Oh, that was
and that's like an example of like yeah, when you're in there with Sasha and Oscar, that's one thing, but then when you're in there with other people that don't know that timing, it looks bad. But that figure eight looks dope because it's not only you're taking the figure four, you're remixing it, and then just the visual of Charlotte being strong enough to bridge herself to make it into an eight, and then obviously you have your legs elevated to where your hamstrings are locked in and your knees getting twisted in the way that you don't want it to. Like I don't want to get put into that. I'd rather take a
So,
natural selection.
but see, the thing is, yeah, the thing is about the natural
that's
selection.
valid.
To me, I think it's done so fast, but if it wasn't, it could be like a pop culture phenomenon like the RKO. You know,
Mm.
because like you said, the cartwheel, it looks
Mm.
good. Um, you just imagine like little girls walking up to each other, boom, natural selection. You know, and maybe they're just not making them on TikToks. So I look at it like I understand the whole selling of everything, but I like it. But there's something special about that figure eight because her and Natty was able to take their
Mm.
father and uncle respectively's iconic finishers and make it in their own. That's not easy to do. I remember the first time I saw Natalia pull all the way back with the sharpshooter, and I was blown away. And I remember watching like almost immediately, it was like a Bret Hart interview, and he just talked about how impressed he was and how impressive Natty is, and she always finds a way to evolve. And that's what I see with Charlotte Flair. She always finds a way. So yeah, but between the this or that, I think I'm gonna slightly go with the figure eight because that's a beautiful visual.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And the like you said, how she was able to make it different, and the fact that it, the lineage of it is amazing. I love Sasha's finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Like
The new one?
that's yeah.
Okay.
Like I like the new one. I That's another one where like the right person has to take it. But what's it called? Do you know, Brian?
Money clip?
That feel like it.
No, money clip. I think is Okada. Hold on a sec.
But that's a good one. And shout out.
Moneymaker.
That's I love that title,
A
honestly.
money
Money.
maker.
Oh, okay. Speaking of the women, real quick, can we talk
Mhm.
about Bailey?
I was waiting.
Because I know people that hate her current finisher. And then there's some that was like the Bailey to belly, like that, that's a finisher. So what are your thoughts on Bailey? Because I also think her moveset is severely underrated. But how do you guys feel about her finishers over the years?
So I love the Rose plan. I don't know. Point me to these haters that don't like that shit because like y'all were complaining about the Bailey to bellies and be like, oh, that's not a real finisher. Even though the Bailey to belly, like that takes the wind out of you. She's like wrapping you up, twisting you, and slamming you on your back like quickly. Like for a woman, that's gonna at least take the breath out of you. Whereas the Rose plant, she's locking your arm and slamming you face first into the mat. Like, how do you not like that?
Mm-hmm. It makes sense for her character. And this is why
Mhm.
Bailey is my number one of the four horsewomen. And that list can always change, to be honest with you. That's how great they are. But when I think about Bailey, I think about just how she evolves her character. The Bailey to belly suplex made sense. She was a hugger. And since you're like, okay, you don't want to hug me, you don't want to be on my side, how about I slam your ass? It's just that simple. You know, and with this, the rose plant, it's just devastating. Like she's planting you in the ground because she's trying to tell you, you fickle fans, you fickle people. I'm not that smiley person no more. So she finds a way to make her move fit her character, and that's another reason why she's so underrated.
Mhm.
Hi, Pamela.
Y'all ready for her to hit that on Jade Cargill?
Oh my god. I am so
She gonna hit
ready.
it, and then Jay gonna be the first person to kick out of it.
I'm ready.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Would y'all be upset if Jade lost her first match if it was a WWE, like if it was like one of the top gals, like you put her, would you be upset?
No.
I wouldn't be upset, but the fact that she's facing Bailey first is like, all right, y'all ain't slick, because Bailey's been taking a lot of L's in 2023. So it's like you here for one reason only. And if it wasn't Bailey, it's gonna be Natalya, because everyone gets Natalya first.
That's true. I would not like to see Bailey just lose. Like, why does she have to be the one to take the L? But again, like when it comes to character, sometimes like you're a heel.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna lose. So
And
I don't know.
there's only so much room at the top of the women's division in WWE on either show. Someone's gotta be in the mid card. It can't always be Natty. Bailey gets to be that.
Said that can't always be Natty.
It can. We love Natty, and it's a testament to Natty, because Natty's been doing this for fucking decades. And honestly, I know some people give her shit from time to time, and then about her in-ring on the show. But then when you look at her clips on social media, when she's like working with the guys and girls and showing everyone like, yo, I'm dumbing it down for TV just so everyone can catch up. Because if you let me go at real speed, this is how I really wrestle now. And it's just impressive because it's like, yo, you've been doing this how long?
Right.
And she's still like steps ahead of people. And like Bailey's that person on SmackDown where your Shotzi's, your Xia Li's, I forget, your Zelina Vegas, they all can get the shine in that mid card right now.
And that's exciting right now as well.
This one I wish Dana Brooke was still around.
Yeah.
I do too. You do need veteran presence.
Right.
Like, this is where,
even if it's more backstage than anything else.
Or even like the live shows where it's like someone's got to wrestle on main event, someone's got to wrestle in dark matches. That's what they're there for.
100%. Okay, let's get back into the finishers. Mike mentioned AJ's phenomenal forearm as being underrated. Styles makes it look so effortless. I like when he hits it, especially when he like pops up out of nowhere and hits it. It does look good. How you guys feel about it?
It's fun. It's one of those moves that it can get you hype. Especially because he gives enough time to tune up for it. So when he hits it, if you're an AJ Styles fan and he's in a championship match, it gives you that rise, like that sudden I don't know how to explain it, but right before you get like super excited, that goosebumps, that thrill, and then boom, he wins the championship. But I like it, and I really loved it when Randy Orton caught him with an RKO on it.
Ooh,
that was cool, but I also like when AJ pump faked it too, where like he knew
I was
Randy was
gonna
gonna try to hit it, and he's like, I scouted.
That's the psychology, right? Like that's what we love about wrestlers, the psychology.
It's like, I know what you want to do. How do I get to where you don't get anywhere near hitting your shit? Sometimes, it fails because everyone's got their 5 moves to do them.
That will always make
it's like for perfect example, Baron Corbin has a very, very, very good deep six. And everyone knows his deep six is very good. So how do I avoid Baron Corbin to where I give him momentum to then spin me around and hit me with that shit? Or like Sami Zayn with the Blue Thunder Bomb.
Yeah, or the Huluva kick. My Garber said the Razor's Edge. So that's like the number one as a child off the couch move.
Oh, I've definitely did that to one of my cousins and got screamed at for doing that to one of my cousins. You him like that. I was like,
you sitting there.
Who knew he was aerodynamic?
You get caught slipping. And and next thing you know, boom, but the Razor's Edge, and it was different than the Power Bomb, even though it's essentially the same landing, except one you going down with the person, but that was definitely a classic. Uh, but I do like you said that the forearm is a traditional signature move. But AJ Styles is that type of person because he'll just come out with a new move next week. And you be like, even though he like almost 50 years old.
Yeah, that's the thing is AJ
That's
has like
insane.
9 of them, so it's almost like pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is insane. Welcome Top Plater to the fan club. I definitely want to talk about Razor's Edge because that's a good one right there. And because Razor Ramon was so tall and he had like the swag, so he would like hold it for a while and then drop you.
Yep.
And I just think that's just one of the like smoothest finishers to me.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like I was so glad that he kept it in WCW and then just the Outsider's Edge. But it's the whole Razor Ramon character is hilarious because like when you're a child, you don't know it's based off Scarface, and the Razor was the cut coke, and like like
that's insane, bruh.
And I might
he
just
had razors on his gear.
Well, you gotta remember, Scarface was one of those cult classics in the 90s, yo. That it blew a big time. Like after it came out, and everyone was like, "Really, Brian De Palma? Like you made this shit?" And then like it had like a second life where it's like, "Yeah, thank you for making this shit," because us minorities love this shit.
Yeah. He asked Vince, "Have you ever seen Scarface before?" No.
Okay.
To the bad guy.
Because you're never gonna see a bad guy look good as this. I'll tell you that.
Came to be is so funny. Shout out to real quick. Sorry, the hashtag Women's 250 is officially trending on Twitter right now.
Snap!
Shout out to that. Along with Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan. No one's ever happy with Liv Morgan's placement.
But that shows the growth of Liv Morgan to where like now we're complaining that she should be higher, she should be slotted better, and like just look at like the way Liv has been booked pre-injury for like the last like year and a half. Like she really has risen from like chilling in backstage and like someone that we love and we'll occasionally see on TV to like, yo, she's actually pinned all the horsewomen. She's been a decorated champion. She's one of the few people that beat Ronda Rousey multiple times clean. No one else can really say that. And like, yeah. And then when she cashed in on Ronda at Money in the Bank, that was a moment. And not just like, oh, cool, we're gonna cash in. Like, nah, it was like an actual thing where like, yo, they actually really have faith in Liv Morgan. And just to see that growth is like really cool to see.
Yeah, facts.
No, it really is. I like Liv Morgan's finisher. Like, because she has to come off the second rope, and like only someone her size would be able to like do that.
Yeah,
it's hella unique. Cool. Yeah,
very unique. And it's hard to be unique. Like a lot of the finishers that we've already mentioned tonight, multiple wrestlers have adopted in some way. But Liv Morgan was able to find something really unique. I think it's also inspired a lot by Trish Stratus's finisher.
Yeah, buddy.
Which is also really good. And I think it's all about the setup.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the crowd hype, like the tuning the sweet chin music and the point. And the backstabber where like, oh shit, it could happen, but you could tease it, and it's all a part of like the journey and the storytelling of the match.
But like you say that like, and even with the Stone Cold Stunner, right? Even though the kick is quick, it's still a setup, And you talk about setup for moves. The Rock, when the People's Elbow at one point was the setup for the Rock Bottom. The Rock Bottom was the setup for the People's Elbow. You know what I mean? Then sometimes he would just do the spine buster. And then when he hit that spine buster, he stand, and you just knew like the whole crowd would go crazy. And they visual, shout out to Kevin Dunn and the production team. because you just see like everybody stand up and then that wide shot he throwing the elbow pad over. Choke slams. Yeah. I like choke slams as finishers. I don't like them as just random moves throughout the match. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I think it has to, go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead.
Because I think it also has to do with I forgot what finisher you were saying. It has to do with size.
Yeah, the power bomb.
Like, yeah. So like a choke slam, it can only be your finisher if like if I'm Undertaker's height and I'm taking you from all the way there and then going down. That's when it's destructive. Like random people doing a fucking choke slam, it just doesn't have the same effect.
Hurricanes was funny though, because he was like small.
But that goes to character though.
Yeah, and especially when him and Kane was teaming up. So that was funny.
See, I'm gonna disagree with this and for the choke slam, and here's why. Because like WWE always tells us like these are like professionally trained athletes, the best of what they do and whatnot. So a normal choke slam wouldn't put someone out 1, 2, 3 because these guys are fucking like day in and day out. This is what they do. So they would also have the conditioning and the strength to be like, yeah, that choke slam. It doesn't matter if you're 7 foot, 350 pounds, and the most powerful person on earth. Like you should be able to get out of that or be like, oh, that hurt, but then it's gonna lead to something else.
No, with the Big Show though, grabbing you, squeezing your neck, pick you up and driving you into the mat.
Are we talking slim Big Show? Or are we talking thicky thick Big Show?
Either one.
The one that looked like he had one too many Slurpees Big Show. Because if it was like Big Show, then it's like nah, dude.
But he was
like,
the giant.
Catch your breath real quick.
Oh man, you know whose finisher I like is Kenny Omega's.
Oh, the one wing, yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to him because he's got like hella upper body strength to be able to do that. Everyone.
Yeah. But again, that's one of the moves like are you gonna hit it on a giant? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I like the curb stomp.
Kado's fucking 6'2", 6'3".
A lot.
Yeah, it's so simple. I'm glad it wasn't out when we were younger. Because we probably would have been doing it.
Please don't try this at home.
We would have broke someone's neck.
Yeah, we definitely would have. Just because, running off of something. Curb stomp. Boom.
Oh, God forbid we learn how to do the V trigger. Because I've seen Kenny Omega knock someone the fuck out with a V trigger. A mistimed V trigger. And it hit him, clock him in the face. And dude was just like slumped.
Mm-hmm.
That has happened more than one occasion.
Yeah.
No. Rakasha mentioned the frog splash. That's a fun one.
I like it. I just never understood why RVD felt the need to show us he didn't have abdominal strength when Eddie Guerrero had abdominal strength.
What do you mean?
Because every time RVD hit it, he would always sell that he hurt his stomach.
I mean, you're flying high in the air and then gravity's slamming you down on a 300-pound dude on your stomach. Like, that's going to hurt, even if you have, like, abdominal muscles.
They all need to be in sync. Because it's like, and I guess that's what made the 5-star more special, where Eddie Guerrero would just do it and that would be a wrap.
You know what it is? RVD be skipping abs day. That'll be the day that he's like, yo, they're gonna get blunted.
I mean, he clearly focuses on leg day and glute day. I mean,
oh yeah, he be doing his squats, but he ain't doing no ab crunches.
Oh yeah.
Obliques? What's that?
But he's good. Montez Ford.
Yeah. Gets a hella height on his.
So much height on it. Sasha does. It's not her finisher, but she does it. That's a popular move. I think one might can say is
overdone.
Maybe.
I kind of agree.
I think it's properly done, just because like usually when people pull it out, they know how to hit it, and you don't see it spammed ad nauseum like a super kick.
That's true.
Like Sasha worked her ass off to make it look presentable.
Well, yeah,
I think Snoop Dogg knocked it out of the park.
Oh my god, that ain't a frog splash. That's a Snoop splash.
You know what?
We gotta remix that shit.
Snoop told us that it's not easy to get on the top rope.
Oof. It's
when
not
we
easy to do anything that they do.
yeah, but they made for years. We always thought, oh yeah, we can get on there, get on the top rope. But Snoop went up there, he was shaking like I was like, whoa. Oh yes, D'Lo Brown, definitely
Oh, I'm so glad you brought
underrated.
that up.
And he
Okay,
had
a
the
lot of
perfect
stuff
setup.
about him is underrated.
The sky high into the low down. And like you said, a lot of stuff about D'Lo is underrated. The fact that he was an intercontinental and European champion at the same time after beating Jeff Jarrett. Like, man,
That's a good one right there.
Now, underrated
AEW's
one.
on
If we're
and
talking high flying moves, remember Neville's, aka Pac's finisher, where he does
yeah.
that fucking 720 flip in the air and
Someone mentioned it in
lands
the comments
perfectly.
earlier.
It's like, bro, how the fuck are you able to do that night in and night out? Like, I've seen that in person like a couple times and just been like, how, God? How did you bless this man to just be like fucking Simone Biles in
Man,
the
gravity
air and then
forgot.
land perfectly on someone's stomach? Like, how? But still not my favorite, though.
I do appreciate that one though.
Yeah, the man gravity forgot. Wow, it took it back. The shooting star press. They don't talk about the time I hit that finish move on him though and won the belt. But
See, when I think shooting stars, I
I'm
think of
sad because he
fucking.
can't rebuttal.
So, am I the only person in chat? Back me up on this. Am I the only person that when I see shooting star press, I immediately think Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 19?
Me
Come
too.
on,
Even when I
y'all.
hear the term, I think of that.
Yo, we was that close.
That
I
man
kid
has
you
done that
not.
100 times perfectly, and 101 was the one that fucked up.
If he hits that move, it becomes the greatest WrestleMania match to that date. Because
Yeah.
it changes our whole perception of that match.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Brock can also do this?
Yes. Thank you. But because he missed it, we talk about that. We forget how good the match was. And as you know, when Bruce Pritchard said on something to wrestle with, he was like, it didn't need it. It did not need it. And then what's so funny is how they talk about how both of them was like messed up after the match and still
They
decided to go
both
to
had
the
fucked
after
up
party.
necks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was
wow,
Brock
you
Because
okay?
right.
Kurt went in with a fucked up neck.
Yeah.
That's why he dropped the title. It's like, yeah. Was that the year that he broke it 3 times in a year?
It
Sheesh.
might have been.
That's insane. But Mike had mentioned Kurt Angle's Angle Lock, which I thought was
Yo.
dope.
Oh,
enjoyed
that is officially, yeah. That's
It
a
was
good
the
one because
big
that one
selling.
hurts like fuck.
The selling of it between his opponent, but also his facial expressions. You know, it was him and Ken Shamrock. A lot of people don't talk about Ken Shamrock either. You
But
know,
you're locking the leg in place and you're twisting the ankle in a direction it's not supposed to go in.
yo, that was
And
another.
because they have the leg locked, you can't really get out of it except for fucking squirming and trying to flip out of it. And if they push down on the ankle, you're just fucked because you're like, yeah, ankle's not supposed to go sideways like that.
Yeah, and that was another home special, the ankle lock, because it was so easy. At least it looked, you know, we shouldn't have been doing these moves, but you know,
You got to learn.
Don't try this at home.
Unless you're a trained professional.
Wow, this what we doing?
MB.
Stop it.
No, when I think about the angle lock, I do think about Ken Shamrock. Like that facial expression is everything. And that's when like the magic happens.
I don't know why this popped in my head. Y'all talking facial expressions, and immediately what came to mind is fucking Heidenreich. Hey, his facial expressions were like, I don't know if it was old face or scared face, but it's like the funniest fucking thing.
Oh my god.
Yo, the only thing that Heidenreich is often brought up about is with Michael Cole.
That's what I think about when I hear that fucking name. Like what?
I just think Heidenreich Taker and just a fucking facial expression.
Yo,
So
that
like,
was a
that's
time-
some facial selling.
They was trying to make Undertaker put over the next big man and like go get people over, and they was failing by a long shot.
Very much so.
Him, Vladimir Kozlov, what was his name? Oh shoot, Nathan Jones. They made him team up with him at WrestleMania 19. It was like Undertaker had that list like for a couple years. He's trying to put over people. It just wasn't working, bro.
Nah, it wasn't. It's hard, like, to make that work, like finishers like that, because there's so many big guys. Like we can't all have the choke slam. We can't
Mhm.
all have this. We can't all have that. And I think it was Andre that mentioned some of the big guys using like pretty simple moves, like the big boot,
Yeah.
where not everyone can make that a finisher. You know, like you kind of got to be huge. Like I think Tess was like what, almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it's about
Mhm.
6'8".
Yeah.
But
So
you
Something
know,
like that.
yeah.
I mean, we talking Taker. I love the tombstone, but then when Stone Cold broke his neck, that was kind of like, all
yeah,
right, Taker's the only one that's allowed to do this. The rest of y'all, fuck off.
Yeah.
I
But
kind
that
of don't like
tombstone
when I
is
see
like,
Statlander do it. To be honest with you,
but
Say that again,
that
Brian?
tombstone would be like, yo, man, like to younger me swore for a long time Taker broke Hulk Hogan's neck at Survivor Series 91 with
what are
that
you talking
tombstone
about? He
on the
did.
fucking chair.
He did.
He didn't. He missed the chair like by that much.
No, he
Fuck it.
hurt his neck. Yo, my neck,
Hogan's
brother.
lying ass.
But you know the leg
He
drop.
broke my neck. It's like, bro, your head was here. The chair was here. You weren't even close. And they got that shit in fucking 240p in live time.
Oh my
You can pull this up on Peacock right now. But no,
Nah,
Hogan got to sit there. Oh, I didn't eat my
Yeah.
vitamins today, brother. My neck.
Oh, man. Man, we know Hogan never tells.
He is just working us. He's not lying. He's working us.
Exactly,
He's
but the
protecting
leg
business.
drop, something
Terry's
serious.
Tattletales. That's what we're going to call that
That's
shit.
a very simple move that felt devastating.
That's Brother Hugh.
What?
It was devastating.
Did you hit that on Hugh at some point?
Yes, in 7th grade. It was a
Why
tear in
is
his
that
eye.
so funny?
He-
That is so funny.
But
What are some finish? I want to know, like everyone in the comments, what are some finishes y'all did on your friends and cousins and siblings and stuff? Because definitely the stunner, definitely the
Mhm.
people's elbow. That's a good one.
Oh, 1000%. I swanton on someone.
Oh my
What?
god, that sounds
1000%.
so
I climbed up
cool.
on a fucking dresser and swanton onto a bed.
Oh my god,
Thanks a lot, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah,
that sounds like a lot of fun.
I've definitely hit a swanton. I probably hit like 90% of moves I saw on TV. But you know, we got to talk about too.
What?
Speaking of moves, because my godbrother, he might remember. We used to hit the 3D on people in church.
Ooh,
See,
that's
I was
fun.
see, I was saving this
Ooh, let's
until
get
we
into
got
tag
to
team
our,
finishers real quick because that's
yeah, I was
good
purposely saving that until we got to our favorites. The 3D for me is all time the
Yep.
greatest finisher ever. Singles, tag team doesn't make a fucking difference for the
Mhm.
reasons that P was laying out earlier. Number one, no one got up from that shit. I think in the entire 20 plus year career of the Dudley Boys, I think only one tag team has actually kicked out of 3D. They hit you with that shit. That was it.
Night night.
End of story. Number two, P also talked about the flexibility of your finisher. They did that shit off ladders. They put people through tables. It didn't matter if you were fucking The Rock or Undertaker. They're putting men, women, Mae Young, handicapped
women.
people. Everyone was getting 3Ds or power
Mhm.
bombs. They were equal opportunities on that shit. And then
Mae
it's the
Young.
fact of they always said it. You could see it coming. They set it up perfect. Where like Devon's in front, Bubba Ray's trailing, but you see
That
like
was-
he's angled. Sometimes they'll throw up the threes, and then it's
Mhm.
simple 3D Dudley Def drop,
Yeah,
and it makes sense. Simple. It makes sense with their gimmick.
bro.
They hit you with that. That was it.
When they first-
So that's your favorite finisher of all time.
That is my favorite finisher. It's like, bro, no matter what company they worked at. And it's also cool because it's crowd participation because you see they throw someone off the rope or someone gets countered. And as soon as Devon wraps the legs, you just 3D. And it's hard to kick out of it because Devon has your legs. So he's throwing you up into flapjack. Bubba Ray's grabbing your head and slamming you down face first while Devon has your legs. You can't get out of that. You really can't counter that. Like the only way you can counter that is to make sure they don't fucking hit you with it. Because
when
if
they
Devon
put it
gets you
on
up
this-
with your legs, that's it.
This was a game changer when they put it on SmackDown versus Raw too. That was like, sorry, that was everybody's move, and I like the Usos doing it.
Me too.
One and done, you know.
And that's
I'm
the
glad-
cool shit is a lot of people didn't do the 3D for a long time until the Usos asked for the blessing. Dudley's gave it, and they're like 1D, one and done. And the Usos do it really good too. But
Man, if they was only back together. Hold on, y'all. Breaking news. It's only 8:30, and guess what's on AEW?
A women's match.
Exactly. We're
Ooh,
doing
at
matches.
8:30,
Yeah.
what is this 30 slot times, Tony Khan? 8:30,
Ooh,
9:30? Do you
switching
not
it
like main
up,
events?
switching it up.
Do you not like openers? But okay.
It's the women's world title match. I think the world title
I was gonna say, what? Sheeta's about to lose her title already?
I doubt it. But she's wrestler. I
Uh-oh.
don't know the other lady's name. But yeah. Shout out to them. But yeah, that was tag team finishes. That's definitely one of my favorite.
Yeah, once you said that, I just couldn't hold back. I was holding on to that, but fuck it.
No, I'm glad you went there because I would not have guessed that would be your favorite of all time. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Brian, what's one of yours?
I'm a huge fan of the pedigree. It's usually the one I go to when I create my character on video games. You know, I just like it. And shout out to Stephanie McMahon in China because they did very well too. Like obviously Triple H is Triple H, but they did a phenomenal job. Between that, we mentioned the RKO, but the Diamond Cutter was something serious too.
Ooh, I like the Diamond Cutter. I thought it was a fake stunner for a while. Just because of who I am, but I like it.
Yeah, and I remember DDP said Triple H did it on like Superstars or something, and he was just starting to get over. He called him. He's like, "Hey man, look, I finally got something to work. Can you not do that no more?" He's like, "Done." And he said after that, he said, "You'll never hear me say anything bad about Triple H."
Pedigree is a good one. I like Diamond Cutter, although I was laughing because like immediately what came to mind. Thanks a lot, David Arquette, because I thought of Ready to Rumble, and the whole diamond upside down is a pussy.
Oh my god! What are you saying? Oh my god!
Only David Arquette. Thanks a lot.
That's true.
Yeah, shout out DDP.
But yeah, we gave love to the Widow's Peak, the Mandible Claw too.
Oh, I love the Mandible Claw.
I still remember reading this WWE magazine where they like did the scientific explanation of it, and how like when they hit a certain bone, it would make you fall asleep, it would make you pass out. But the Rock, Booker T, the Booker T and Rock similarity always cracks me up. Yeah, I ain't like the booking though.
A lot of that, I didn't like the booking either.
What's one of your favorites, P?
Besides the stunner.
Yeah, besides that.
I like the sharpshooter, of course. That's a good one. I like the ones that are unique. I'm trying to think of ones that we didn't already mention that I always was like fascinated by.
We always thank Trish. Did we talk about the Stratisfaction?
We touched on it, but that's one of my favorites.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Trish. I thanked her today. I think she was left off of the women's 250, which is interesting. I saw some people comment on it.
It's understandable.
But she didn't have enough matches in the criteria. So but I can see her definitely making the list more like next year. She has another run, but I think her run was awesome. I like the Twist of Fate, just nostalgic reasons. It just reminds me of my childhood. And then when you see people in AEW like doing it in the ring with the Hardys and them just like living their best lives, like that just means a lot. So I love that. I always liked the bank statement. I just think it's just a beautiful move. And then Carmella.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember her submission?
The Code of Silence?
Yes. That is so beautiful to me, and I wish she did it more, but it is gorgeous. I don't think she's ever like won with it, but I think it's meant to be like something close to like her finisher.
I think she has, because that was her finishing move for a while.
Yeah, but
you don't become champion without having, getting someone with your actual finisher. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally loved it. So that might be one up there. We already talked about the eclipse.
Ooh, the Oscar
I,
lock.
you know what? Oh yeah.
She
So
she
you know,
hit you
move.
with that. That's like, yeah, game over. Because she's got your arm and she's choking you out from behind. That was like, you ain't just tap. You ain't get out of this.
You know what move I wish they would use as a knockout to end the match? Willow Nightingale and Keith Lee's pounce.
Ooh.
The fact that like when they hit you, just the idea of your body like leaving its soul and just like they could make that easily like laid out. That's it.
I was gonna say this or that, who does it better, but then immediately what comes to mind is fucking Adam Cole going flying into the fucking
Yo.
stands.
That is gonna define his career, unfortunately. Not
It's
Adam
like-
Cole, Keith Lee.
It's like, bro, Keith didn't even get you full blast. How are you like 9 rows back?
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's
it went all downhill from
wrestling
there.
at its best. Like it
Mhm.
was so good. It like took over the internet for days.
Yo,
That
that's
shit was like, yeet.
stop that. Roman said, "Stop that. I don't
Okay,
like
okay, Dad.
it."
Tribal
was
dad.
That was so funny.
Roman gotta be Roman. I don't like that. Like, what do you like, Roman? You show up on SmackDown angry all the
So
time.
Andre said whenever a pounce occurs.
Yo, facts.
Can we talk about one finisher that I am so over?
I guess Alexa likes the pounce too.
Fuck Alexa.
Don't say that.
But
Notice we ain't talking about Bliss.
I'm about to say they're listening. Don't say that.
I like her move too. The way
I
she
love
and
her
that,
move.
that twist.
It's good. It's gorgeous. I love
Especially
it.
when she cashed in her Money in the Bank. Man, that's it.
See, that one I gotta suspend disbelief because it's like, Alexa, you weigh like 80 pounds.
Aw.
Like
come
that's
on,
gonna
Justin.
finish someone, but
Yeah, it's still something. If 80 pounds of something drops on you, it can take the wind out of you for 3 seconds.
yeah,
That's
it's
all
like
it
getting
takes.
hit by a fucking toddler off the top rope. Like, yeah, all right,
You ever-
I'm gonna
hey,
suspend this. But
You ever get hit
okay.
by a toddler and they knock the wind out of you? It's possible.
I mean, yeah, because my niece is getting up there. She be jumping on shit and be like, "Oh god damn, you got me."
You got me.
What you?
Can I say what move I'm traumatized by now?
I was going to say, but we're going to talk about stuff we don't like.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
go ahead. That's a good one.
the F5.
Oh,
And only
think I know why.
because of Kofi Kingston. And the reason why that it's always gonna bother me is because one F5. Like he is a world champion who, beat one of the greatest wrestlers in the world with his finisher, right? And then we go months later after defending it in competitive matches, and he loses in one F5. So my thing is, y'all couldn't have my man kick out at least a couple.
See, that's the shit that
So
vexes
now
me.
it's like,
That's the shit that vexes me. It's like, all right, if you wanted Kofi to lose a title, that's one thing. And all it did was create a shock factor, but it's like you booked Kofi so strong for like 6 fucking months and undid that in 8 seconds. Like you could have had Kofi put up a fight and lose to Brock in 2 minutes. That would have been more realistic than 8 seconds, 1 and 5, that's it. Especially the way you undid 6 months of booking Kofi Kingston for that shit, and then you did it for fucking not even Kofi, because you immediately got him out of the ring for fucking Cain Velasquez,
Right.
and that shit that
where
no
did
one
Where
wanted.
did that go?
Nobody.
You completely
remember.
ruined one of your main event players over a fucking business decision that did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I'll tell you which move.
Sorry, it's triggering because I know it comes up all the time on social media. Like, what's the worst booking decision over the last decade? What's the thing that has you the most angry? And Kofi losing in 8 seconds is always like, yeah, Vince, you're not seeing heaven for this. Well, we gotta whoop your ass over that, like for real.
I'll say you're not seeing heaven for this. I don't like any over the head belly to bellies. I can't stand it.
Why not?
You're not. So what happened to Big E?
Oh yeah.
That like
Yeah.
and it's creepy because I remember just before like when they locked up, I said, I don't like this. And then that happened. And I remember talking to Amber Rodriguez like that night, and I was like, yo, she was like, that's why I don't take it. And I was like, yeah,
Mm.
and that's one thing I would always say. She would be quick to veto a move. Like, no, you're not doing that. And you most of the time you hear that from like, you'll hear like veteran wrestlers talk about like wrestlers on the indie scene when a WWE or a TNA more so superstar come in. Oh yeah, they wouldn't take my finisher. It's like no, because they don't think it's safe. They're not going. They gotta protect their brand.
Worth your life and your career.
Yeah, it's like if I don't rotate properly, I'm landing on my fucking head and neck.
Yeah, and there's nobody like nobody thinking anybody's doing that on purpose, but it's just so much that has to happen. Yeah, that's that, and I'm over spears.
That's a bit overdone as well, especially into the barricade.
I don't mind the barricade one. I mind the ones in the ring where it looks like you're hugging them into the ground instead of like actually spearing them. It's like, okay, go to bed. Night night.
I like Goldberg's. I like Rhino's. Roman, the tribal chief version of Roman's grew on me because it's just, to be honest with you, the aesthetic of it, that dumbass vest was off. But that's it.
I'm glad the vest is off.
It makes no sense. I liked Edge's execution better. I didn't care for his, or even his like the double arm DDT downward spiral. I don't need to see Edge doing a spear. Like, bro, come on.
You know which one that I like, but I'm frightened of at the same time? That if I was a wrestler, I would never take this. But as a fan, it's cool to watch. The fucking Muscle Buster. It's really cool to see. It's a cool visual. But what happened to Tyson Kidd's like, yeah, I never want to fucking take this move ever. Because now I'm afraid of one little fuck up and that my neck is compromised in a bad position that like, not only is it my neck, my spine.
That and the package powerbomb. But I did like the I'm prettier, even though you gotta be careful because your face will go. But I did like the I'm prettier.
A running powerbomb, so good. I think so.
Yeah, talk about the
seen a running powerbomb in a while.
Yeah, they moved that Seth Rollins tried to kill Sting.
Ooh, that's rough. Can we talk about some that fans are just not a fan of? So I know like Trinity. She has her finisher. Speak on it. Just
Trinity, I love your assets, pun intended. The rear view is not a fucking finisher. Yes, you have a glorious future behind you, but guess what? That doesn't finish people. That doesn't fit. Well, that finishes people in different ways, but not in that sense that you want. It's not a 1, 2, 3. It's like a no. Can we keep this? Can we keep going with this? Like, nah. Like rear view, it's a dope name, but it's one of those that's like it should be a setup move for her actual finisher. Instead of like her actual finisher. Like the one that she did on Alexa Bliss at Elimination Chamber, the one that she fucked up her knee on, but it's like a springboard moonsault. That should be her finisher. Like she should do a rear view into that. And that'd be a nice 1, 2. Like you guys were talking about setup to the finisher. Like rear view should be a setup, not the actual finisher. But we love you and we love it.
I don't hate it. I understand where y'all coming from. I don't hate it. It makes sense, She got a whole lot of ass she hit you with.
I'm running into ass cheeks. Like it's great, but that doesn't finish like a professionally trained wrestler.
It might be muscle.
Even then, does that put you out for 3?
If you hit the wrong,
I'm never taking it.
I'd be like 1, 2.
Sprouse said, rather the rear view than a submission.
Oh, to this her submission.
I'm a submission girl. Like I like submissions. I love that intensity. Like I'm just picturing Sasha Banks like stomping on the fingers and like all that shit when she puts her submission on.
Facts. I like her submission because I just go back to WrestleMania 33 in the crowd, and she's got that finisher locked in, and
she had Alexa dead to rights,
hoping like, come on, please. And when that bell rang, that's the first time I like was at an event and had a tear come down my eye because I was so happy that she would, getting the win, especially if you knew everything that Orlando went through 6-7 months prior and how she was there for her to bring so much light to the community that night. I thought so that's what I love. Again, like I said, just memories of Bret Hart winning with his finisher and stuff.
True.
And we know Trinity's super athletic. It's just that's where we come in more.
That's
It's like
probably
you could
why.
finally find like a better one than the rear view. Like we could retire that one or set that up for something else.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if she do.
Same. How have we not mentioned the Oscar lock?
I thought we did, but
Oh,
yeah,
we did.
Oh, did we? Okay, maybe I missed that because that's one
Yeah,
of
I put
my
that under
absolute
underrated because
favorites.
it's a elite finisher that we don't talk about as much, but it's one of those that like again, she locks your arm and she's choking you out at the same time from behind.
Yeah.
It's one of those when she gets it in, that's it.
It's pretty scary.
You better be close to the ropes. That's the only way you get out of that shit.
I wish Becky made the arm like the arm bar her more her finisher than like the manhandle slam.
Yeah,
Oh, the disarmer was her finisher for a long
Disarmer,
time.
yeah. But I'm like, why would you change to something so lackluster?
Because of the man gimmick. We were talking about gimmicks and the finishers matching the gimmick. That's why she remixed. She still has a disarmer, but that's why the manhandle slam and the manhandle slam really came out of the SummerSlam match with Bianca. Because that's the first time she really pulled that out, and that became a thing.
That's
otherwise it was the disarmer, and she's always working your arm to set you up to yank that shit as hard as she can that way.
That is so true. Any other favorites and
wow, the Texas Cloverleaf underrated for sure. Dean Malenko hitting those back in the day, man, and just the visual. Like even though it was really just the same as the Boston Crab and the Sharpshooter, that visual just looked good, especially with him doing it. But another underrated, Daniel Bryan's knee to his running knee.
Oh,
You know, because again, tuning it up, you think about when he would do that, and then the yes lock, WrestleMania 30 yes lock and tap out Batista, like that sound always in my head of Michael Cole, and especially because like if that story of Daniel Bryan, like when Michael Cole's heel turn on the announcer side started when Daniel Bryan's rise, like when he first came back to like WWE after he got like fired and they brought him back in that SummerSlam match. And Michael Cole used to always call him a nerd. And that's when Michael Cole like really fell in love with The Miz. So like to see him like starting to root for Daniel Bryan around that time, and especially when everybody like the authority was against him, and just to see him make Batista tap out again, such a great visual.
You want to talk about which finisher? I know I'm gonna probably catch some shit for this, but you know what? Is this a safe space? Club. I wasn't a fan of Nikki Bella's finisher.
You might get
the rack attack. You're slamming someone on your shoulders, but you're hitting them on the side, and that's gonna finish them off. But if you don't time it right, you're slamming your own neck, which again led to her neck injury that she currently has. I was never a fan of that, even though aesthetically it looks kind of cool, but then it's also like, yeah, but you're slamming the side of their body onto your shoulders. But if you miss, you're slamming them onto your neck. That's one of those like that's gonna hurt you more than them. But I gotta believe that that's a finisher.
That's definitely.
But I mean, at that time it was Bella Army all day, every day. I wasn't gonna go against the Bella Army because y'all some ruthless savages. So I was just like, I'm just gonna shut that one up and put it in a lockbox. But yeah, was never a fan of Bella's finisher.
I can see where you're coming from, and it's definitely one of those moves that just looks good, like it looks intense, but we can clearly see who it was really hurting in that move. But I like that one. I don't know if we mentioned AJ Lee's Black Widow.
Oh,
that was fire.
The spin around into it, and she fucking
again. When you're small, you could just throw your body around. That shit looks lit. Whether you're big, small, like it just looks beautiful to me.
Yeah, that's it right there. When you, like you said, when you that small, but AJ's underrated though, and it's so unfortunate because I feel like she don't get her flowers, and it's like these are the wrestlers that she would have loved to play with.
She would have been a top star.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like whether you put her on NXT or the main roster, she would have been cooking. and been able to tell the stories that she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like around 2016, because that's where you have the Horsewoman up, Oscar's coming, but then you still have Natty, you still have the Bella twins, you have Carmella coming up. It was like a nice, good crop of people that fits like AJ's like wrestling style and also her size. That can really like she can run with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Those in ooh. For some reason, this makes me laugh because I think about Bret Hart's book when he had that submission match. But how you guys feel about this one, crossface chicken wing?
That shit hurt.
Oh God, did someone do that on you too?
I'm not telling the story on Fan Club, but no.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that the crossface chicken wing is it was something serious though. But yeah, let's. I
It's
liked
been a
it.
while since I've seen it. All I think is like that's what comes to mind when I see chicken wing.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with it, but it's like it's one of those. It's like it's been a long time. I don't even know if anyone currently uses it.
Nah, I don't think so. Not like
That's
it
a
doesn't have the
vintage
prestige
right
that it had when
there.
Backlund was doing it.
Right there. I want to give everyone in the comments one more chance to shout out their favorite finishers of all time in the comments right now. We'll do a little speed listing, but I like these kind of topics because we can talk about the past, we could talk about the present, we could talk about different variations, the evolution of different matches, and like what makes a good finisher. We touched on so many different themes, whether it seems competitive, how the person sells it, how often it should be used, how well it's protected. There's so many different elements there. And when you just talk about the fundamentals of professional wrestling, it all kind of comes down to the finisher, because you can
Mm-hmm.
sell a simple move depending on your star power, depending on your skill set, depending on your size. Like there's so many things that go into it. Um, so I'm glad that we were able to get into all of these. And there's still some, I'm sure, that we're gonna think of like, oh shit, we didn't talk about this, we didn't talk about that. But we can always do a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4. And all of these.
Oh,
Ooh.
definitely a part 2 because we gotta ask Seindole about hers.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very curious about some of her favorite finishers. We have the Spinal Tap. The End of Days is good.
Mm-hmm.
End of Days is really good.
I really like the End of Days. Shout out to Becky Lynch who took that finisher. Shout out to Nia Jax who went into the Royal Rumble that year and took like
Yeah.
the RKO. Oh, the 619. We didn't even get into the 619. Yeah,
There's
so
some
Nah,
we're
you
Rey
right.
definitely gonna do a part
Mysterio.
2. We'll definitely do a part 2 on this one. I like comparing. I love that some wrestlers have more than one. It just makes it even more fun. I like
Mm-hmm.
learning of wrestlers that change their finisher based on their characters. So yeah, this was a good one. I can't wait to get into it some more. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. So everyone in the fan club, the
That's why they
crew,
gotta come
everyone
back.
in the VIP is always welcome to suggest a topic that we can go into. I'm glad we were able to talk about the top 10 of the women's 250 reveal. A lot of the pages of the issue of PWI is out now, so you can probably see the whole list at this point on Twitter. So let us know what you think of it. Tag official PWI on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Hashtag women's 250. Let's elevate these women. Let's raise exposure to all of them, because you're gonna discover someone that you didn't realize. You're gonna discover a promotion that you didn't realize, and that's what's really fun about everything right now. I'm loving these finishers that everyone's commenting on. So we'll definitely do a part 2 at some point. I do want to remind everyone that we have literally 2 early bird tickets
Mm-hmm.
left for TWG's 5th anniversary event happening November 4th here in Brooklyn, New York. We will do a live show followed by an after party. The event is sponsored by Duke and Dame Whiskey. There'll be delicious cocktails available, delicious food, amazing people, including these wonderful people on the stream. Shout out to everyone that's flying in and coming in to town to New York just to party with us and celebrate everything that women in wrestling have been doing. Shout out to Krista being my partner in crime. We have been doing this for half a decade. And to think of all that we've experienced, all the shows, all the wrestlers we've met, all of the podcasts we've inspired, all of the people that we've met through this space that have become family, including, Brian H. Waters and Justin here. We miss Seindole tonight too, but wrestling has connected all of us, and this event is just another one of those things that's going to connect all of us. So thank you to our sponsors, Ringside Club, Cha Cha. As always, we appreciate you guys. So go to our Twitter page, go to our Instagram. The ticket links are all over. Get a ticket, sponsor a ticket. It's not too late to become a sponsor. We have amazing sponsorship packages available. So yeah, do that, and we will see you guys next Wednesday, of course, 7 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch for hashtag TWG Fan Club. I'm Queen PR, but where can everyone find you guys?
You can find me on all social media platforms at It's Justin Rich. You can find me, like Pete just said, Wednesday nights live on Twitch on those Wrestling Girls Twitch channel. For TWG Fan Club, myself, Queen PR, Brian H. Waters, and Seindole B. You can catch me Tuesday nights, Twitter Spaces, 6:35 p.m. for Turnbuckle Talk with Mimi and Corey, where we talk all things wrestling. We are now on the Black Wrestling Channel's handle for Turnbuckle Talk officially. So this week was a banger. I look forward to more of those, bigger and better. You can catch me from time to time on True Hill Heat Sports and True Hill Heat Wrestling. Both those channels are located on YouTube. We talk sports, wrestling, and all that fun stuff. We here, we outside, we active. Salute to the finishers.
Salute to the finishers. Find me at Brian H. Wars on all social media platforms. Make sure you check out today's episode of Wednesday Worldwide. We had a plethora of calls from the Worldwide Hotline, including one from our good homie Stephanie Hardy, because as soon as Trick Williams was attacked, she hopped on the Worldwide Hotline. So Ben, Cal, and I had some reactions to that, because I'll just say she is blaming Carmelo Hayes for attacking Trick Williams. So make sure y'all check out that episode tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Wrestling Around Now podcast goes live, and we're going to talk about everything. Apparently, Edge is having some issues in AEW already. That's on the agenda, so we're going to talk about that and everything else.
I love it. I love it. You are a very busy man on Wednesday. So you're a very busy man too, Justin. I'm very proud of everything that you guys have been doing. I am proud of all of the women in wrestling that are killing it today. And on that note, we will see you next week.
Peace.